You're listening to the N.W.A, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo. It's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off-kilter, the professor, the Godfather. Post-wrestling, the N.W.A, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
And welcome to the N.W.A. Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the show all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. Welcome to the final show of the year for the N.W.A. Podcast. Hope everybody is having a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Chanukah, as Smokey Robinson would say. I am the Godfather, Milton, and I am joined as always by my partner in crime, by a man who doesn't need any introduction, but I give him one each and every month anyway. Y'all know him, y'all love him. The angry intellectual himself, the Professor, Kris Ealy, a.k.a. Moderna Chris. What's good, brother?
Man, chilling. I'm not in Los Angeles this week because I had to go to a funeral. So R.I.P. my cousin Mike. But I'm glad to be here and just get vaccinated, everybody. Take that shit seriously because my cousin didn't. And this is kind of where we are at the moment.
Yep. And we've already lost too many cousins and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and parents and grandparents and friends from this. So, y'all, this ain't a game. This ain't a game. So, again, thoughts and prayers to your family, Chris. You definitely know we got your back here at the program. But this is the holiday season, man. And for those that can see me on the video, I don't know if the video version is up or not. I got my official post-wrestling Christmas sweater, man, because nothing says the holiday season, Chris, like John Pollock and Wei Ting on your chest. And so that's why I'm repping the post-wrestling Christmas sweater here. But you got any big plans for the holidays, man?
I think we're just like having like brisket and stuff like that. I think we wanted to have kind of a half holiday vibe, half summer vibe. So I got some brisket coming on Christmas and like smoked sausage, and then we still have some holiday stuff going on. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just gonna be me and my girlfriend this year because I usually during this time of year I take my trip to Atlanta and then I hit up every little spot. I was hoping to be able to do the December show live with you, at the same time. That could have happened, but just
could have happened next year.
Yeah, timing wasn't there, but next year we do the live show, and all will be right.
Yes, but as you mentioned, Chris, one of the big things about the holiday season, man, is about family, man, and what. Reconnecting, Chris, and reminiscing over the last year. And so that's what we're going to do on the NWA podcast this month. We're going to kind of take a look back at the best, the worst, and the biggest stories of 2021 in the world of professional wrestling in a way that only the advocates can. And to keep that going, Chris, we got some special guests on the program. But at this point, they're not even guests, Chris. They pretty much parts of the family. So first of all, this gentleman was on our very first episode of the program. He hails from the Pro Wrestling Torch, and he is a citizen of the great city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Y'all give it up for Rich Fann. Rich, what's good, brother?
Not much. How are you guys? Happy Kwanzaa, Chrismahanukwanzaa, if we want to add them all together.
Okay.
Hope y'all doing well. It's doing well. Weather's good. Kansas City won. Got to see Oakland get smoked. I'm sorry. Las Vegas. I'm sorry. That's right, Las Vegas. I don't want to be picking them names out the face, but
yeah, I still call San Diego the Chargers. So I mean, the Chargers, San Diego. So it's all good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this 2021 look around and kind of seeing what worked, what didn't. Always a pleasure.
Yes, and we definitely glad that you was able to make time for the final show of the month, Brother Rich. But we are also joined by another friend of the program. This man, you know, Kris, when we think about holidays, one of the things we think about are gifts. And some people, you know, they might want a piece of clothing. Some people might want jewelry. Some people might want, a game console. Some people might want, a really, really special book. But our next guest, he don't want none of that. All he wants for Christmas is a signed 8x10, courtesy of that man Hook. Y'all give it up from Tru Heel Heat, the one and only SP3, a.k.a. Brother Sid. SP3, what's good, brother?
Hook gang is here. Yes. Had to come with my Christmas sweater with the bells on it. Yes, thank you guys. That was an amazing introduction. I get complimented on my introductions, but man, that blew any of my former introductions out the water. Thank you so much. But yes, I am very happy to be here with you guys. 2021 has been a great year, and it's been a great year because I've been able to meet all you guys and have some fun, be on here, the NWA podcast, have you guys over on Tru Heel Heat. So I'm very happy to be here for this holiday celebration.
Yeah, the last time we would have talked to SP3, Kris, at least the both of us, would have been the episode of Tru Heel Heat where we did the draft, where you and me, Team Post, Team NWA, we went and represented against our guys over at Tru Heel Heat for drafting the greatest black roster of all time. And of course, we came out victorious, SP3.
Yeah, we had y'all on the ropes in that round one. Like that round one, y'all had the first pick, so of course y'all went with of course Rocky Maivia.
Of course.
But we came hard. We had Sasha Banks in there. We was getting the tag teams, and then y'all peep game on the tag team game.
Yeah.
And y'all
got us on them tag teams twice in a row, and then after that it was over. We like, okay, we didn't peep game.
Y'all caught up after that. That was such a great time. One of my favorite episodes of Tru.
Who does the sides on that? Is that Romeo doing?
Yeah, like Romeo.
So he's like,
shout out to Romeo.
Yeah, I'm rich, bitch.
Anybody that missed that, what episode of Tru Heel Heat was that, SP3?
I want to say, I'm going to double check right now.
But definitely go back and check that one out.
Oh my God, that was such a great episode.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Like, I mean, check out. Y'all should be subscribed to Tru Heel Heat anyway. But that was a really fun episode with me and Kris going over there and just talking about, we was competing, but it was all in the spirit of fun, and we were just kind of reminiscing over some of the great black talents over the years in the wrestling business.
Yeah, such a great time. And that was Tru Heel Heat 147, WWE versus AEW Tribal Wars. So, yeah, that was probably my favorite of the fantasy wrestling draft that we've done so far. That was like the funniest one, because especially when with that meme with Tony Khan that broke Kris, I have never laughed that much.
So what we're going to do on this show, we are going to be joined for the listeners out there who may be wondering. Andrew Thompson is going to join us a little bit later in the program to close out the year. But I figured, fellas, we can kind of take a look back, because this is a time when a lot of people reminisce. And when you look at 2021, a year that was this weird in-between year, I guess you could say, because we were not quite as locked down as we were in 2020 with the pandemic. But it's also not quite as wide open as it was in 2019 pre-pandemic. So we were kind of in this midpoint. And so we can talk about the best, the worst, the biggest stories of the year. Let's start on a positive note, y'all. Let's start with what was your best or favorite story of the year in wrestling, particularly, from the lens of a black journalist, a black content creator, a black fan. And speaking of fans, we can start with that man, Rich Fann. Rich, what was your best or favorite story of the year?
I think the best or favorite story for me this year was the Ascension resolution at the mountaintop and then coming out party for Big E. When we first saw it earlier in the year, when it looked like they were going to give him the ball a little bit, at least to be in the main event picture. Then with the Money in the Bank cash in, and even despite the company not paying attention to it, him just showing up and showing out everywhere he's been, whether it's going to boxing events, doing MMA voiceovers, super fight voiceovers, Breakfast Club, though I don't count that one as much. Like they could have said some sideways stuff on that, and Big E would have been left holding the bag. So thank God that didn't happen. Yeah. And ultimately, I think he's proven in the ring he's one of the top guys. And while he hasn't yet had that marquee feud, he was elevated by beating another brother for the title, like beating Bobby. That's something we'd never seen in WWE before. I wrote about that in the Torch. Like in the several decades worth of history, a black man losing to another black man was never in the cards. It was never just something people thought could happen. And so I think with each day, with each match, with each part of his reign, he's doing a lot where I just didn't see it. And so that was really a surprise and a happy one for me this year. Yeah, like I'll go ahead since Rich already kind of kicked it off and piggyback on that. For me, I had two stories. Number one would be Big E, because this is a dude I've been talking about for a minute. People that have listened to me for at least the last 5-6 years, Chris, they know I've been saying it's been time to pull the trigger on Big E Langston. And so to see him get that moment, and the way they've booked him as champion hasn't been like, it hadn't been bad, but they certainly could be doing more, I think, with Big E. And Rich's other point, this is a dude that is not only available and open to some of these outside ventures, but he's good at them, man. Like, I don't even like Iowa football, Rich Fann, but Big E doing that intro for them a couple weeks ago got me excited. I was like, go Hawkeyes, man. Like, he's just so good and has been good for a long time. So it's really cool to see that. And also, I guess a side note, even though Chris will probably disagree, is I thought it was cool that Xavier won King of the Ring. But we can talk about that a little bit later.
We'll talk about it.
I agree.
Yeah. You know, we already know where you coming with this, Chris. So
I liked when he won King of the Ring. I just knew exactly what would happen. But I liked it.
I have a positive thing for you, Nate, on that King of the Ring. I guess if I could slip in with a 1A.
Okay, go ahead.
Just like with Big E, I think with Xavier, with the fact that the guys at Up, Down, Down have refused to do more media until he was paid what he deserved, the respect he has from his coworkers is on a level that people didn't realize until that happened. And then him on G4 is much like Big E. While they've, quote-unquote, allowed it, my video doesn't work on this laptop, I apologize, but I got the air quotes up. While they have allowed that, they've also allowed that man, now that he's won King of the Ring, to leave with no regrets.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, and we could speak to that all day about how much respect and goodwill there seems to be around the New Day, Kof, Woods, and E. Like, you don't hear a bad word about any of those dudes from anywhere, which is a rarity in life and certainly a rarity in this business. My other 1A is a story that we've been talking about since episode 1 of the NWA podcast on Post Wrestling, and even before that, Chris. And that is let's just say the colorization, to use a Ted Turner term from the 80s, the colorization of AEW, and how we're starting to get a little bit more diverse and more diverse in terms of the prospects that they're bringing in, you know, and speaking particularly about a guy like Lee Moriarty or Leo Rush. And so, like, the potential is there for AEW to have some black single stars, and that's not something I think I would have said a year ago. So I think that's been a really cool thing. SP3, what have been your 1 or 2 favorite stories of 2021, man? Besides Hook.
Oh, well, you know, he's no color. He's out of this. He's no color. He's no race. He's just Hook. I mean, to piggyback back off of what Nate and Rich have said, like, I've actually interviewed King Woods this year. So that was a great experience for someone that's inspired me, as everything he's done outside of professional wrestling, like with the Up Up Down Down YouTube channel, with G4, everything he's done. And he said those exact words. He was like, I won the King of the Ring. I never thought this would happen. And they could tell me I'm fired tomorrow and I'll be okay. So 100% you are on point with that statement, Rich. He can leave with no regrets. So, but the two things that kind of stood out for me the most is, to piggyback off of what Nate has said, is AEW being more diverse, goes hand in hand with wrestling fans speaking up, and African American wrestling fans specifically speaking up about Black wrestling draws and that hashtag. And it came out of people who just want to complain and just want to be negative about AEW, because AEW finally paid attention to the woman for a few months. Let's not give them too much. For a few months, they did. So they decided, hey, let's go on to this. Let's say they're not diverse enough. And that's led to them getting guys like Lee Moriarty, Leo Rush, Dante Martin, Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill, once again, is one of the bigger names. And that goes hand in hand with my second one, which is kind of weird to talk about. But 2021, especially, with this week, with the news with Jade Cargill, what she's gone through on social media, but Black women in professional wrestling, I think that we've seen them be elevated this year, with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair being able to main event, the elevation of Bianca Belair in WWE. Yes, they decided to be WWE by the time August came, but still Bianca Belair is in a much better position than she was before 2021. So she is Sasha Banks, with everything that she's accomplished with, her outside ventures and everything she does in WWE, and then over in AEW, like I said, Jade Cargill being booked like this generation's Brock Lesnar, basically, for the women in AEW with the undefeated streak. Red Velvet getting the main event, the first episode of AEW Rampage. So it's just all across the board, from, Impact Wrestling and, ladies like Tasha Steelz. They just signed Savannah Evans, and, outside Trisha Dora with her title reign, and doing work in Ring of Honor as well. So just across the board, Black women in professional wrestling, I just love what I've seen from 2021 and the elevation and just more representation of Black women.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that that's something that's going to continue into the new year. And even though we're on the positive spectrum of things right now, I do want to say that, as far as the Black women have come, both in the industry and also, our colleagues in terms of covering this stuff, and, just fans, like, things do need to get better for them, because I see, and I know all three of us have seen, we've got friends who are women, particularly Black women, who voice opinions on this sport. And the way, they come at us anyway, just based off of who we are and the opinions we have generally, but they come at these sisters a whole different way. Yeah. And that's got to stop. And that's, we've all seen kind of the way that they've been addressed and that they are disrespected. And it's like, come on now. Like, we all allegedly love this thing, whether we're a fan or whether we're covering it or whether we're in the business. And so, why would you want to, I don't even know how to say it, Rich. Like, why would you want to gatekeep and
said it.
Isolate somebody out of this thing? Right.
It's just like with comics or video games or any of these other things. It becomes, this is about ethics in wrestling instead of focusing on just the absolute lack of respect. I mean, Jade's talking with 2 years in the game. Could you imagine if there was Twitter around for Miss Jacqueline?
Right.
Or going all the way back to, Chris Bornier, when he talked about women in the 50s and 60s and stuff they went through. And so I think there needs to be a reckoning with that stuff, because you can't get away talking smack. I mean, shoot, even when you look at what went down with Brandy, where Brandy accurately mentioned some musty dudes in her mentions when she came back, and her and Cody, easy targets, but she's an easier target than Cody a lot of times as being a Black woman.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And so, and hopefully that's something that starts to fade away, because, like I said, man, we all love this thing to varying degrees. And so, it's supposed to be for everybody, man. And so hopefully that's an attitude that decreases. But Kris, Like, I think this might be what people have been waiting for, because we know Moderna Kris. We know the angry intellectual, but it's the holiday season, Kris. Will your heart grow 3 sizes today? Will you tell us something you actually loved about pro wrestling in 2021, man?
Oh yeah, I did. And shout out to Woods too, Austin Creed.
Mm-hmm.
I am 100% for him moving up the card. And I just want to say that, because I don't have any ill will towards Xavier Woods. Yeah, I thought it was goofy how they had him knighting dudes. You guys are wrestlers. He's not an actual king, but I can let that go for, whatever, because certain people like it, so I'm not saying that my opinion is right. I just think that I don't like it when the actual queen knights people, so it does nothing.
Chris, you heard it here first on the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. Kris Ealy is anti-monarchy.
I am. What did Lord say? We could never be royals. It's just not.
Did not expect the Lord shout out on this show.
Yeah. I like the lyrics to that song. But anyway, I really this year, Bianca Belair has been the MVP of this year, because this is my thing with Bianca Belair, and I will 100% maintain this. She got over by her goddamn self. For real, by her goddamn self. Yes, she did. WWE did not give this woman anything good on television. I 100% believe that. I think the stuff that she got, the crap that she got, she was able to turn it into fertilizer and grow a beautiful garden of stuff. It wasn't because the writing for her was extra special or spectacular. Right. I am and this is how I know Bianca Belair is the truth, is in spite of all of the nonsense they gave this woman on TV, she rised above it. And how many people in that company are able to do that? That nonsense that you get booked with in WWE, it has a way of just being like a backpack full of like rocks and bricks and stones. It hampers you, And she was able to rise above all that and do really, really good things, right up until that stupid SummerSlam nonsense, which we don't need to talk about. And even after that, she still has maintained her relevance, and they haven't really done great stuff with her then. I do think there is, there's only a certain amount of time before it starts affecting her. But
hold on, Kris. Hold on, Kris. I flag on the play, brother. You telling me you're gonna sit up here in the Christmas season in front of Santa Claus and everybody and tell me that you're not hyped about this Dewdrop feud that they're giving us, this Dewdrop hotness?
She's another one that deserves better than what she's getting.
Yes, so much better.
But yeah, with Bianca, I have learned to take the wait and see approach with her, just because she rises above a lot of that stuff. So we'll see if she can,
let it play out.
Yeah, we'll see if she can rise above this feud. And then another thing that I'm happy with, and I know we'll talk, and I know it'll come up in the negative portion of the show, I'm happy Jay Lethal got hired by AEW. That's me. I like the brother. I don't know him personally, but I said what's up to him at an event one day. He said what's up back. That was cool, when we get into the negative portion, I still need to understand the controversy. And then maybe I can be like, well, F Jay Lethal. But right now I love him. And Prince Nana. He's been teasing
Christopher.
The embassy, that's that. Now, Nana is an actual friend of mine.
Yes.
So, I'm not
former guest on the show. Shout out to Prince Nana.
Yeah. So, but I'm happy to see him teasing. I would love to see the embassy in AEW. I think it would be great. I think we need people like that. And then I love Mark Henry in AEW. I really do. I think that it's time for the main event thing is one of my favorite things to watch. I read that
it's getting over too.
It is.
The 1 week Tony Schiavone did it, I was mad. I was like, "What this Schiavone doing this shit, man? Where's Mark Henry at?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They needed to tag him in. Like, all of a sudden, you get, like, Mark Henry at home taking care of his sick kids. It's like, it's time for the main event. And then he just goes right back to feeding his kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would have been cool with that. Yeah. But Mark Henry, so I'm liking the new guys. And the one thing I like about the Jay Lethal and AEW thing is the fact that I don't think someone that talented should be modulating without a home to go to. That's just my opinion on that from a professional standpoint. From on a professional level, he's very good at his job, and I think he's someone that can be in the mix. Maybe you don't want to put the world title on him or even the TNT title on him, but we do need black guys in the mix in that company. Yeah. And until I hear a compelling argument that Jay Lethal is trash or whatever, I'm on Team Lethal.
And I was going to say, for more on that, for more, like Kris elaborates even further, check out the latest edition of the Kings of Sport podcast, where me and Kris talked about a couple different topics, and Jay Lethal was one of them, because this was, I want to say, a week or so after Lethal debuted in AEW, and we talked about that for at least a good 30, 40 minutes. So you can check that out for more of Kris's perspective and my thoughts on Jay Lethal getting signed by AEW. But let's go from the positive. Let's flip the script and go to the negative. and we can start with, let's mix up the rotation a little bit. SP3, what was the worst story of 2021 for you, brother?
Oh, man. I mean, WWE gave us a lot of those, but I mean, are we just talking about a storyline or just a story in general?
Either a storyline or something like that happened in the industry, anything that didn't sit right with you.
It's
anything that
is WWE releasing 80 plus wrestlers.
There it is.
That's the number one thing, and especially, because we're talking about African American wrestlers, so many talented, bona fide superstars that they had under contract for a very, very long time. They just missed the buck on, like Isaiah Swerve Scott, who has been there since 2019 and was one of the hottest independent wrestlers in the world. They decided to put him in a group. The group was kind of mishandled in the way it was formed, but it became one of the most hottest act in professional wrestling, one of the most popular stables in professional wrestling. Gets called up to the main roster, and a month later, all of them are let go. It just doesn't make sense. You got someone who looks so unique, like B-Fab. Yes, she's not experienced, but you have a performance center for a reason, I suppose. You might want to train this girl because she has something that you can't teach. So why don't you teach her the stuff you can? So it doesn't make sense. Top Dollar, for all of his Twitter fingers, it's a guy that is a former NFL player. He's talented. He was a big guy. He had the look that Vince would love. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then, Keith Lee, of course, you got to mention him. Him getting let go is just one of the biggest blunders in WWE history, because this is a guy that, yes, look-wise, that's a guy that Vince would love. He's a big guy, but he can do all the things that usual big man can't do. And instead of, putting the highlight on that, they decided to basically say, no, what you're doing is wrong. We're going to teach you the right way to do it. And whenever they do that with someone that is talented, that has been a star, that has been a top guy, that has been a world champion, everywhere they go, they always fail that person. So yeah, overall, it's just all the WWE releases. Some of them are understandable. We're just coming off the heels of the whole Jeff Hardy situation, which is 100% understandable on WWE's part.
Right.
Jake Wirtz, Jackson Riker, those guys, totally understandable. And even someone, from our culture, like Velveteen Dream, that's also totally understandable.
Right, yeah.
But just when 95% of your releases for the year is baffling, it just doesn't make sense. And if we're talking about storyline wise, this goes hand in hand. That's the worst story. Worst storyline is probably Randy Orton versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Or that one, because of the results of what happened to The Fiend, him losing at WrestleMania doesn't really make sense for the storyline that we got that started with him getting burnt alive and coming back to life. He should come back and win. I think that should be the ending. But something that was probably worse because of what it was supposed to mean for WWE's future, especially on the main roster for the next couple of years, and how much it's like killed and what they represented for one of the brands, the Undisputed Era breakup. That is one of the worst stable breakups I've ever seen. So those two, storyline wise, are the worst.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the releases because that was going to be my story too, SP3, because normally, like we've gotten used to that one batch of releases after WrestleMania every year. Like we've gotten used to that. But to have 4 rounds of releases in 16 months in a time where you're also bragging about record profits, it's like, come on, like what are we doing? What are we doing? And so, yeah, like I think that it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And so, that would be my worst story of the year. But Rich, anytime you got bad news, you got to balance it out with good news. So I got a little bit of good news here for the people, ladies and gentlemen, because while we continue our conversation on the worst story of 2021, let's bring in one of the bright spots of 2021, somebody with so much potential and talent that even NXT 2.0 couldn't stop this brother from shining. Y'all give it up for my nephew, the youngest in charge here at Post Wrestling, Andrew Thompson. Nephew, what's going on?
Good, man. How y'all feeling, man?
How y'all
feeling?
What's up, pimpin'?
Look at all this melanin in this stream, man. Motherfuckers in here glistening. Look at it.
Black excellence on your screen right now.
How y'all feeling, man? Holidays
good,
coming
brother.
up.
Yes.
We good. Listen, to Andrew's point, I want to give credit to Ian Riccaboni because I never thought I would hear in any wrestling podcast, any wrestling announcer, let alone my man Riccaboni from Allentown drop Black excellence with the bass in his chest last night when he was talking about Shane Taylor promotion.
Yes.
Hey, y'all. Speaking of Final Battle, did y'all see that man Kenny King with the silky last night? I was like, this legend.
Yeah,
he came out in the silky with the diggy pants and the fives.
Yo, that shot, that shot with all of everybody in the ring with the fist up, man. Hell of a way to close out the show, man, or close out the era, I guess you could say, this era of Ring of Honor, and who knows if we'll get another one next year.
It's not looking good, but at least we're going to get the show in April. But that was a good way to close things out. I love the callbacks. I love the video messages and Lethal and Gresham in the main event. It made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They say you think they're going to probably go the route of like more sort of an independent promotion going forward?
Yeah, like a super indie where they have those big shows, especially when you have guys like Scher and some of those dudes that showed up in the middle of the show where I'm like, you got the Ring of Honor dudes coming out and they look like Ring of Honor dudes. No disrespect to them. But you see freaking EC3 walk out and he looks like a monster. That dude, like I saw somebody put a tweet up and it was like, hit the gym, fatty. And he's like walking out of there. It's like he's got a 30-pack. I'm like, this is obscene. And then you get Braun showing up. It's like, free the Titan. Now, I will, in the Pettiness Hall of Fame, if he does go by Titan as his name, I'm putting that in top 5, and it ain't 5.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But Andrew, to kind of catch you up, so we already talked about our best story of 2021, and we were on to like our worst story or storyline. Whether that be something we saw on TV or me and SP3 were just talking about the releases that we got this past year and how that was kind of our worst story of the year. So for you, you cover more wrestling than any normal human being should be able to do, brother. So what was your what's your best and worst story of the past year?
Man, that's something I had to like sit on, man. But like I would say probably my best story that I could just think up off top. I'm gonna say this just strictly off recency bias because I really ain't have a chance to think about it. But I would say this is one of the best stories, not my best story, but just one of the best stories. It was cool seeing Gresham get his win last night. I'm gonna just say that just strictly off recency bias because it's like it's fresh on my mind. I'm thinking about Bianca Belair winning the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania. That one just like burned in my brain. Of course, Big E getting his title win. Yep. I think just over this past year alone, we've seen like an abundance of like black talents like sort of rise to the forefront. I think that's been more like obvious than anything this year. Like it just seems like from January on forward to where we are now, you seen like a surge of black wrestlers like step up and just be presented in the light that I think all of us think that they should have been presented in for quite some time now, especially for those who've been grinding at it for years on end now. I think I probably had to agree with you and Sid as far as the releases probably is the worst stories of the year, especially because the amount of releases. But also in that same vein, I'm like personally excited to see what most of these people are going to do outside of WWE because I know they'll probably find a hell of a lot of success. Like I think one of the ones that's probably like the most questionable is Isaiah Swerve Scott. I don't know if he's probably going to have to go back to Shane Strickland now, but I think 3 days after he got released, Rocky Romero had did a podcast and he was like, man, if Swerve want to come to New Japan Strong, he got the open invite. So you know what I'm saying? So like that's basically like stamping it in right there. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be other places looking at him trying to bring him in. So he probably gonna be a high demand. You see Uncle Keith chilling. He got the gray beard. He like, man, we gonna work that out later. He's like, I'm chilling right now. I just came off a 3-year run in the Fed. He was like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Bearcat gotta hibernate, fam.
But I mean, it really like. I think that's a really great question to like do like a like sort of like a retrospective kind of thing, like to really look at like all the stories that have happened this year. It's crazy how because I like when we do this podcast, like y'all been having me on for like on an increased role for like the past couple months, and like it's just crazy to think about how much can change within a month. Like it's like we talk about a story and then it could literally be outdated in like 4 or 5 days just because there's so much stuff happening in the cycle. Like it's so much going on 24/7. But yeah, man, I would say probably just one of the.
Uh-oh.
You got to use the Speed Force. He's jumping through time.
That's Vince McMahon cutting Andrew's mic.
Yeah, that was. Like, I can't believe he's talking about. Cut his mic. Cut it.
That's enough from you, pal.
Oh my God, I could not believe Vince McMahon through time. I'd pay money for that cartoon. Like just to see that dude in the back commentating on things in history. Yeah. Like I'd have that wall grow another 2 years, pal. It's like, no, Vince, the Civil War's over, brother. It's like, have him come back a little bit. Like, nah.
50-50 booking.
Oh yeah. We have Sherman. He burns one part, and then he loses the battle. Then he burns. Like, nah. Boston Tea Party. He relocate to like Manhattan because not too many eyes in Boston, pal. You gotta get the seats. You gotta get the seats. It's like, what are we doing, Vince? What are we doing?
Vince
but yeah, I like that talk. I mean, when it comes to the worst stories for me and kind of the things that stood out, you mentioned the firings, and that's a big part. But for me, losing Ring of Honor, losing that promotion is a huge hole. And hearing it last night, the pain that kind of people were in, seeing it, firsthand in terms of watching on the screen, and then knowing that there won't be another option where you can regularly be on TV. Because if we're honest, as much as, I appreciated them doing the thank Tony Khan unlike N.W.A. so he don't have to give them that business.
Right.
But none of these other promotions paid for folks or had the level of stringent COVID protocols that Ring of Honor did and made sure people were good even when they weren't doing shows. Mm-hmm. And then they get rewarded with that sort of loyalty with losing their shirts basically and having Sinclair say we're done here.
Yeah.
And that's just absolutely a shame. And the guys like Shane Taylor and Shane Taylor Promotions, you put that sweat equity in, you put all that time in to build it. And then right when it's at its positive and it's the most popping, it's over. And that just sucks, man. I mean, I think about Gresham and I think about his title win and I think about the fact that how come this couldn't happen a little sooner?
Right.
Or I go back and I think about the relationship they had with New Japan and how that kind of went sideways. And, as much as people like nowadays, I'm thinking about stuff from years and years ago, not stuff like in the immediacy. As much as people see evil and they want to throw bricks at him right now, he's still one of my adopted children. Him and Sonata will always be welcome at a place at the table, got a plate. But when he was here, he just sat in New Jersey for like 8 months because Ring of Honor didn't have anything for him. And just little things like that, like where you had these chances to make these guys like, hey, we're going to have Show and Yo be the Tempura Boys. Their gimmick's going to be they like spicy food. What? What are we doing? Jay White is a rock and roll dude that kind of is an awkward New Zealander. All right. I mean, at least when you look at places like Rev Pro, when they use the gimmick, that's what they're going to be using in New Japan. Right. And when they're in the United States, particularly when they were in Ring of Honor, a lot of these guys were just kind of like, all right, man, you just put something on. We'll figure you out later. And I think the final thing I would add in my downside of 2021 because of the Ring of Honor is I think there's this void also of who's going to be able to take the mantle of what is wrestling going forward. Because Ring of Honor was always that standard bearer of we are wrestling. AEW has some of it, but AEW to me, as much as people thought it was going to be a New Japan ripoff, quote unquote, it's the best of DDT without the worst of DDT.
Okay.
And so you have great wrestling. You have the non-serious guys. But none of that stuff ever gets in the main event. When you're talking main event, it's always going to be something that's just hard-hitting, strong wrestling. You have strong characters. When you go everywhere else, it's still going to be a bounce around. And I think it'd be too much to put all that on AEW. It'd be too much to put that on MLW when they're just taping here, there, everywhere, and kind of doing their Lucha Underground Part 2 thing. So I'm just really interested to see where wrestling creates it because GCW is its own beast. I just hope that there's going to be that next option that can kind of continue the spirit. I hope it's Terminus, but I don't want to put that on what they got planned either because I don't know what that vision is. Yeah.
And then speaking of vision, this man just finished fighting Vince McMahon in the time stream. Vince McMahon cut this young brother's mic because he knew the potential in Andrew Thompson, but Andrew Thompson is back with us.
Man, the Wi-Fi tried to take me out the game, man. I had to hop on the phone, man. Man, they don't want to see me win. They don't want to see me win, man.
You back just in time, Andrew, because everybody's giving their worst of the year except for the professor. And you know.
Let's get it, Chris.
Moderna Chris got something for him. Chris, what was your worst of 2021, man?
Okay, there was a lot to choose from in 2021. I'll tell you that much. But I'm gonna. I think that these three things are probably the most linked together. That is the WWE releases, ROH, not being the same ROH that it used to be. ROH was just a company that I loved. Even though I wasn't this year, especially, it's just so hard to find. It's like I have to send out an SOS message to get clips of ROH. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall a little bit. But I'm sad at it still. And goddamn, NXT 2.0 is the worst wrestling program I've ever seen. I've been going back and forth with this because there was I remember 2000s WCW with Thunder.
That was going to be my question. Is this worse than 2000 WCW?
I think it might be. Because I went back and watched some of the 2000s WCW, and it's horrible. There's no sugarcoating the awfulness of it. But NXT 2.0 is, I don't even know if I could call it better. It is so stupid. When I like first became like when John and Way were like, okay, Nate, KME, we need you guys to do this show on the post form and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, so now that I'm doing this show, not just for us, for our own vanity's sake, but for the Post Wrestling Network, I was like, okay, let me watch every single show and to make sure that, just so I can not be ignorant when I'm talking about
you got to do your due diligence.
Yes, exactly. NXT 2.0 is not watchable, man. I feel sorry for the people where wrestling journalism is your number one bread and butter, and you have to watch that shit because it's not good, man. And I don't give a fuck if you're making 200, 300,000 a year. No one should have to watch NXT 2.0, man. And the stuff that's good on the show isn't even all that great. Like,
you sleeping on that man, Braun Breaker?
Yeah,
LeBron Breaker out here?
You sleeping on Carmelo Hayes, Chris?
I'm sleeping on Tony D.
Tony D, yeah.
Wait, how come the professor don't want to go to Chase U?
Yeah, exactly.
Forget about it, Chris.
The god of Gabagool.
You guys are making
the Gabagool. Who said the Gabagool?
The god of Gabagool. Tony D. Oh,
hey, forget about it.
You gave this guy the name Braun Breaker.
No, he chose that name, Chris. He chose that name.
No, he didn't fucking choose that name.
Listen, he chose that name just like Charlotte chose to have that speech about Reed.
Oh my goodness.
This is what
just
happened.
Like Keith Lee chose Bearcat.
Yep. Yeah. They told this dude that he couldn't be Braun Steiner, Rex Steiner, whatever the fuck his name was going to be. They told him you cannot be that name. So they gave him a list of stupid names to choose from, probably, and he chose the name that was probably the least stupid of the list of stupid names. He did not fucking choose. Nobody chooses to be goddamn Braun Breaker.
I'll let you know, Chris. During my tryout, I tried out with Negro McNegersons, and I want to just come clean with that. I want to make sure
But it's funny because this dude messaged me that too. He was like, got on me on my DMs talking about, well, he says Braun Breaker says he chooses the name, and it was like, well, what do you think about this now, Chris? I'm like, fuck you, man. You
check
wasted,
me.
Yeah, you wasted my time clicking on the link of something stupid. NXT 2.0 is stupid. It is not good. Now, I would be able to tolerate NXT if it didn't come on USA. If that was if it was a cable access show, or if it was like a week, like how Smoky Mountain used to be, where it was on the weekends at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Damn.
In syndication or something, I'd be able to put up with it. You put this shit on USA Network,
prime time,
horrible.
Prime time.
And on prime time,
as a lead-in for Chucky.
Yeah, and you get to see how flawed these young pieces of clay are because they're not molded yet. I don't understand what's going on with Anrel Howard. She's Lash Legend now. They talk about her greatness that she was when she played basketball. She talks about it on TV. And then she's like, but I'm Lash Legend. And then the girl that what's her name? Let me see if I can find it. But she's an Olympic athlete.
Oh, Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, Tiffany Stratton. Yeah, and they don't even give her like a gimmick. At least Lash Legend is a gimmick name. They gave her a generic Tiffany Stratton name instead of what her real name is. Like, I don't understand the logic and reasoning behind these.
They have to make money, Chris. It's all about the money.
If Daddy don't get his money, Daddy's not gonna be happy.
And by Daddy, she means Vince. You don't mean our actual father.
And if that is her gimmick, why is she on NXT in the first place? Like, if the gimmick is Daddy's money and wealth and shit, NXT is the last place you should be. You know what I'm saying?
That's like Tony D, though. Like, Tony D, you supposed to be part of this crime family, making all this money.
Yes.
You got to wrestle part-time on the sides to make ends meet.
Yeah. Like, is this what the fuck is this, 1985? Or, like,
we definitely back in the 80s. The Fed is back.
Yeah, like, every wrestler had, like, a double job.
Yes.
Yeah.
If Bob Holly was a race car driver on the side.
Yeah.
Let me get 2022 tugboat. Let me get some tugboat. Let me get a safe stop of Simba.
Can I get something simple?
Yeah, I remember my favorite tugboat promo is when he cut this promo. He said, "When I was a kid, I wanted to be two things: a wrestler and a tugboat." It's like, you want to be a fucking tugboat? Even when I was a kid, I knew I couldn't be like a machine, man.
Transformers, brother. He wanted to be like that brother in the Transformers movie, the one who had to be in the little machine that would turn it. Like, he saw it. He saw the vision.
Yeah.
The vision was in his eyes.
So yes,
ladies and gentlemen, that is why when you have a panel, somebody's always got a bat cleanup. That's why the professor bats cleanup, because you don't get content like that leading off.
No,
Kris Ealy in the flesh, man, in the flesh, with the David Ruffin cut too. I see you. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. I see.
He said, "Ain't nobody coming to see you, Bron."
I love it.
Hey, Chris, I think you did make a good point. I mean. Of course, Braun went in the media and said that he chose his name, but I mean, it's always the possibility of what you just said, because I don't really think that's a far stretch at all, that they gave him a list of names and like, here, you choose these names. Exactly. And then, like, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, because he said in this interview that he didn't want to quote unquote latch on to his father or his uncle's success and sort of piggyback off of that. But I mean, like, when you really think about, like, why wouldn't you? I mean, you can just take the Bronson Rick Steiner name or just call yourself Rick Steiner. But I think Chris did make a real solid point.
A real funny fucking Braun. You're saying, oh, I don't want to latch on to my father and uncle's names, but you're wrestling in a goddamn colorful singlet. You got the same fucking haircut going on.
Same finisher.
Just like Scott Steiner. Everyone uses Big Papa Pup references to you.
Even Chucky.
Even Chucky.
Making a reference to his father.
Oh, my goodness,
but you don't want to latch on to your uncle and father's name. Dude, Braun Breaker, you're going to be great one day. I hope you are. But shut the fuck up forever.
Damn.
Just do that.
Pretty much.
Hey, I wanted to ask all y'all something real quick. Like, I think this has been something that we all been talking about multiple times this year on different podcasts that we all been on. Like, I feel like I'm talking about Naomi, of course. Like, but I feel like WWE, they view her as a part of that old guard. Like, they look at her as like, you know, the vet who's going to be, you know, passing the torch to the next generation when Naomi's like 33. You know what I'm saying? But like, she's still young. So like, and I think we're all very curious as to how they haven't found a way to fully capitalize on the potential that is there. Like, I think we all look back to that moment she had at the Royal Rumble. Even her own colleagues were saying she got the biggest reaction of the night and that whole Royal Rumble. and they didn't follow up on it. They just like let us like you got fucking Keke Palmer talking about she wanted to play her in movies and shit. Like how do you as a business person not even try to entertain that idea and be like, hey, you want to come in and do a segment with her? Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like with Naomi, like I just think that, like I said, I think they view her as a part of that old guard because she's been there for so long. And she's been there in the damn SCW days. You know what I'm saying? So, but she was there when she was so young that it seems like she's been there. Like and that's another conversation, like the sort of ageism in wrestling. I know we had a conversation about that not too long ago. But yeah, man, with Naomi, it's like it's so much there that's left to do, and it's like they just like I feel like they're going to forever hold her in that like that balance or that position of like, hey, we're going to put you with talent A to, you know, use your credibility to help them get over. And then, you know, we'll give you something, we'll give you a little piece of the pie later on, maybe, you know, we'll just continue on without you.
Yeah, I think it's a couple things, Andrew, and I'll kick it over to you then, Chris. Like, I think, first of all, they don't get Naomi because they don't get the culture, period, full stop. And I think, you know, you talk about the Keke Palmer thing. Like, why didn't they go for it? Because they don't understand why that would work and why that would expand the tent in terms of their potential eyeballs. It reminds me of a story MVP told about his run when he was on SmackDown. And I don't know if y'all remember, but like they did a storyline where Sherry Shepherd from The View at that time was like fangirl over MVP.
That was so awesome.
Yeah. And so MVP and Sherry Shepherd were going to, I think it might have been the BET Awards or the Soul Train Awards.
I was there and I saw them that night. Yeah. Yeah.
And so MVP wanted to turn that into part of the story. And the company was like, why would we send a camera crew out there for that? Like, what's the significance? And it's because they don't understand the culture. And so I think they're always going to run up against that to some extent. The other thing is, and Chris alluded to it in his glorious holiday rant that he just concluded, like, booking across the board has been bad this year. Like, there's been some exceptions. Like, I think Big E has been pretty good. I think Bianca has just overcome terrible booking through strength of will. But booking across the board has been bad. And so I think Naomi is no exception to that. Like, Naomi's not invulnerable to the bad booking that's going around. And so, yeah, like it's a shame that they've never really fully gotten behind Naomi. Like, I think the closest they ever got was it the WrestleMania Miami?
Yeah, in Orlando.
In her hometown.
Orlando, yeah.
That's the closest they've ever come to, like, fully getting behind Naomi. And other than that, they just kind of dropped the ball. So, Chris,
I was gonna say, Naomi.
Go ahead, SP3.
She's a victim of being there too long. When you're there too long, they put you in a certain role and you can't escape it.
They can't miss you if you don't leave, SP3.
Certain guy, and maybe she'll get to the point that she's like a Dolph Ziggler, where once a year they say, "Oh, you know what, Dolph? You used to main event. You used to be a world title champion. Let's give you a little bit of something." Hopefully, Naomi gets to that point. I think she has to level up, or she needs someone like a Natalya to move out the way, because Natalya supersedes her in WWE's eyes. Because
Natalya stay in that veteran role.
She got that prototypical look. She's a blonde. She could work. Everybody says she's one of the best workers,
right?
And she's been around for a while, so she is always going to be at that higher rock. Then Naomi, then you got Tamina, but they're in their own section, and everybody else, you got the Four Horsewomen all the way over here. Asuka's pretty close to them, Alexa Bliss pretty close to them, and then everybody else is kind of shuffled around like that. But I do have to go, fellas. It is the holiday season, and I do have twins, and my daughter is currently tearing stuff up. So I want to thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys having me on this holiday. Thank you, NWA. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Andrew. You guys are amazing, and I feel like I'm a part of the Black content creator family when I talk to you guys.
No doubt, SP3.
Much love, SP3.
Glad you could make some time for us, man. You know,
Father SP3 in the building.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I ain't want to blow up his spot, Andrew, but you know he's trying to sell y'all something. People out there, don't fall for the okie doke talking about he got twins he got to take care of because he's a good loving father and a role model in the community. He got 2 bottles of Terramana that he got to get to. That's what this brother is doing this holiday season. Don't let him fool you.
Oh my goodness, bro.
We appreciate you, SP3, man.
Thank you, guys. Peace out.
He talking about 2 bottles of tequila.
And we'll definitely catch up with that brother in the new year. But yeah, Rich, any thoughts on Andrew's question about Naomi? Because I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I think to Andrew's point and SP3's point, the one thing that you can look at, and it's not just not getting our culture, but not getting culture, period, is Naomi is lost because they don't understand her. But when you just talked about Natalya, her and her sister are thirst trapping left, right, and center, and they always just posit her as just I'm a wrestler.
Yo, shout out to Jenny Nineheart in the building.
Hey, Nate, don't do it, Nate. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't fall for it.
Don't do it. Don't do the Canadian milkman gimmick. Don't do it.
I was gonna say I'm stepping on Seahawks gimmick.
Yeah, don't do it. Cam somewhere crying. But that's the thing. It's like you look at that and they're like, they don't get that. They never see her as someone that's and that kind of came up this week with the idea of Corey Graves obsessing over his real life girlfriend and fawning over her as part of her gimmick. But then you have fans, particularly female fans, that say, why is it every time I watch a women wrestler or women wrestle, I have to hear about how good they look or your gaze? And so with Naomi, the first issue is they don't get that. The second issue is they don't get why you would ever want to invest in someone outside of a McMahon after they turn 32. And then the third thing is she isn't going to do stuff like folks would in the old days to kind of force her way to the top because she should have been in the bloodline.
Yeah.
Should have been.
Yeah, it was an obvious call. And to your point, like I think we are far beyond the point of like thinking Naomi can't be in that primetime spotlight because she just got invited onto Jalen Rose's podcast, The Renaissance Man.
I heard that episode.
It was a good one, right, Chris?
Yeah,
it was a good. And then on this week, she's gonna be on the Wendy Williams show.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, like you know what I'm saying. When was the last time a wrestler got invited onto the Wendy Williams show? And even just harking it back to Big E, he was on the Breakfast Club. Now I don't like herald the Breakfast Club, but like when was the last time a wrestler got invited onto that? You know what I'm saying? 2 black people got invited onto that, and that's because I think that at the root of it, there are so many black people who really do enjoy professional wrestling. Yep. I just think they don't understand like some of the ins and outs, and I feel like they want to, but it's like sometimes can be difficult for them to get fully invested in it. But when you have a black wrestler that's communicating that to you, it can be a much more simple thing to understand. And I think by having Naomi and Big E doing these big media appearances, it's so easy for them to do it. And that's why I'm also excited to see, I'm still focusing on Naomi, but I'm also excited to see Jade Cargill sort of get pushed into that spotlight because I know that she can go and do those type of media appearances, not even just primarily black wrestling, not primarily black media appearances, but I know she can go out there and do all your little ABCs and all that stuff, and she fit right in. But with Naomi, man, it's just like a big question mark from them to her. Like it's like they just don't get it. But then at the same time, to what Rich just said, these motherfuckers bringing in Migos at day one.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I just wonder whose idea that was.
Yeah, I think that's Khan. I think that's Khan.
You think Tony Khan?
Yeah, type hookups, and like I looked like to your point, Andrew. I think about the idea of as soon as I saw Xia Li and it's funny how Naomi can always work with like the other females of color, and it's just natural. You don't have to do anything stupid with it. She'll just flow with them. I was like, listen, if you had one black person in a prominent role, writing or producing a segment, they would do a training montage of her and Xia Li doing the glow from The Last Dragon and getting ready, and just like, because Xia Li's already built for that. Like all her promos are straight out of like 70s, 80s action movie. That'd be something. And you got a cheap little thing. Well, you got the glow. Yeah. And it's just like, it's just easy.
I don't know if that brother's still alive to sing that song, but he can use the residuals.
Willie Hutch. He used the 27 cents.
Yeah, he's not alive anymore.
R.I.P. to Willie Hutch, man. But like, and I'll flip it over to you real quick here in a second, Chris. But to kind of touch off of what Andrew just brought up, I do think that, you know, they they're willing to do certain things. And I do think that Nick Khan is probably behind a lot of these things.
Yeah, probably.
But in terms of reaching out to a culture, but they don't fully embrace it. And it's hurting them. It's hurting their bottom line, right? Because there are so many black fans, so many brown fans of this sport that want to be engaged. And it reminds me of one of the best things I ever heard. And it was a show I was doing with Alex Greenfield, former WWE writer. And he was talking about his time on SmackDown. And he was like, I was complimenting him because that era of SmackDown was like the blackest and brownest it had been in a while. And he was like, well, yeah, I did it for two reasons. Like, number one, the talent we had at the time with guys like Rey Mysterio and Mark Henry and the Guerreros, but also like black fans and black and brown fans love wrestling. He's a horror writer too. So he's like black and Latino fans love horror, but they're often not catered to by that mainstream horror machine.
Yeah.
And he's like, we were trying to do something different. Like, it didn't stick because at the end of the day, it's Vince's company. But I think there's a way you can still be WWE, whatever that means, Chris. And also, not to steal a hashtag, but give Naomi a chance. You know what I'm saying?
In that interview she did with Jalen Rose, she did mention the lack of TV time she gets. She didn't sound happy about it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't one of those. She didn't give the corporate lines in that interview that a lot of wrestlers, when they do mainstream stuff, give. She was pretty much real about, hey, man, you get to a point where you're just like, well, at least I'll be grateful for these couple minutes, because some of the girls don't even get that. Mm-hmm. But she definitely wants more out of her career. I think I do think she's a WWE mainstay by virtue of the fact that she's got, family there.
Yeah.
I think that by virtue of who she's related to, there'll always be like a level of protection for her. Mm-hmm. So it might not be, going somewhere else and starting all over might not be something she necessarily wants to do. Yeah. But at the same time, you do hope WWE recognize what she brings to the table, take advantage of everything that she's got to offer, because Naomi shouldn't be just another woman on the roster. They have so many unique women on their roster.
They do.
Now
they really
that
do.
Nobody should be blending in. Yeah. Especially someone like a Naomi.
Yeah. You want to know what's crazy about that? Chris? Like, can you imagine? Like, so I really think they take some of their talents for granted. Like that, I really think they do, and we're kind of seeing this with like we're literally seeing this play out with Kevin Owens as we speak. Like they sort of had him on the back burner, and then now they realize his contract coming up. They like, oh, player. They hold on now. Where you going, KO? But but with Naomi, man, like I feel like with the men's division, it's like WWE. They can just like it's whatever. But if they were to start having some of these talents, man, and like they were just like, well, it's another option out there, a mainstream option where I could, potentially land and go somewhere where, I got coming off of 10 years of TV experience pertaining to Naomi, 12 years. What she been in WWE for 9 years or something like that. But can you imagine if it came to a point where she had just the option on the table, like it's that contract year for her and she got another option on the table. Like, I feel like that would be like a very interesting thing for her. And of course, like Chris said, I don't think that she would just by, the connections that she has there. And I don't think it would ever be a situation where they're like, okay, Naomi, you're gone. Like I feel like she's so connected there on top, not even just the family stuff, but more so just like how long she's been there. Like she's been there for a minute. She's been a staple for a minute, especially a staple in that women's division for a minute. But yeah, man, like Naomi, I think that's always going to be somebody who's always going to be an interesting topic to discuss, because I think we all realize how talented she is, and it's just like we talk about it so much, and it's like we beating on the same door, but it's like I think we all just realize how good she is, and I think we all just want to see her achieve that level of success that we know is there, and we just like trying to get them to realize it before like fucking 5, 6, 10 years pass, and then like. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? Like the window is still open. So
Right.
Fucking jump through the damn window. You know what I'm saying?
That's not what they do, Andrew. You got to be there at least 10 years like Kofi. Looked over and overlooked for so many times in a row before we can finally have something fluky happen that you can get that opportunity that you deserved for the past 10 years. That's the way it works up there, man. But that brings us to the last topic. Now, Rich might remember when we launched this show on Post Wrestling, one of the things we did was we had an inaugural NWA cookout. And me and Kris and Rich and Sister Maria gave out invitations to the NWA cookout. So we're not having a cookout, but we're having a holiday gathering here at the NWA podcast. So I'm gonna throw out some names, fellas.
Oh boy.
And you let me know if this individual can come to the Christmas party. Are they not allowed at the Christmas party, or can they come pick up a plate and then they have to leave the party? So those are your three.
Don't even get out the car. Right.
Those are your three options. You can come by, pick up a plate, and leave. You can't come, or you're fully invited. All right. So I'm gonna start with somebody that was a bit controversial last time. Like, I'm gonna mix in some new names, but I do want to touch back on some names we talked about in the summer. And I don't think Andrew was here to give his thoughts on this individual. So we're gonna start with maybe the hottest wrestler in the game right now, Rich Fann. Some people would even say that this brother's on fire. At least he was a couple weeks ago. And that, of course, is one of the EVPs of AEW, Cody Devontae Rhodes. Can my boy Cody come to the Christmas party? Andrew, what do you say?
Cody, he can stay in the car. Somebody can bring him a plate.
He can get a plate.
and he got to eat in the car though. He can't come through the gate. He got to eat in the car.
He got to eat in the car.
Cody got to eat in the car. He got to eat in the car, man.
Rich, what about you? Can Cody come to the Christmas party?
I'm giving Cody a bag of eggnog and telling him God bless.
Damn.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Kris, can Cody come to the party?
Yeah, I'm inviting Cody to the party. I love Cody Rhodes. This is the thing, man. Even in that garbage promo he did, we all kind of
hold on, Kris. Hold on. Are you talking about the promo where Cody solved racism individually, single-handedly?
Yes, that promo.
That promo.
I don't like the promo. He tried something, it didn't work. I'll
really
give him
didn't
that.
work. That shit was bad.
But I can never hate Cody promo or Cody Rhodes as far as what he's done to revitalize the wrestling industry. He was a very big cornerstone. He is a pillar of AEW. For that reason, he's got Brandy with him too, so
basically you're saying Cody can get in based on Brandy.
He can get on in his own merit too. I like Cody, but Brandy helps. Brandy helps.
To add on to Kris' point, I just want to say this real quick. Last week, I think it was the most recent episode of Dynamite. But prior to that, I legitimately thought Cody was just fighting so hard against the people's reactions. I thought he was like just trying to be this like oblivious baby face. Like he's like, I'm staying true. I'm not turning heel because the fans, they know too much. I'm not. Why would I do that? But like when he had that moment when he challenged Sammy Guevara for the title and gave him the Lord,
hello,
good luck,
baby face.
Good luck, kid. And then he walked to the heel tunnel. He was like, my bad, and then walked to the baby face. I was
that was good.
I was like, all right, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna ease up. I'm gonna ease up on Cody. I'm gonna ease up on him.
But see, that's why Devontae got the bag of eggnog for me. It's Southern Comfort. It's the good eggnog. It's not like Giant Eagle. It's not like Teeter or some cheap stuff. It's like I just gave him a little baggie, because I can't have him coming in and explaining to my mother-in-law and my mom, like, why does man back so sticky?
Hey, Kris. Hey, Rich. When you take him to eggnog, do we get the fist pound or he get the dap up?
He get the dap up, but it's I can't be around here for too long. So
Right.
Like, here you go, brother. Hey, how about we keep this moving? I got a church coming through. Right. All right, man. Good seeing you.
Like, good see you, man. Stay up, Cody. Stay up.
Make sure you pull off right after I walk away.
Yeah. See, okay. I'm glad you said that, Andrew. Because here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna break my own rules already. And what I'm gonna do is because I think, man, and you just alluded to it, Cody Rhodes has been telling some really good stories. Like, I think not all of them have hit. You know, we could talk about that promo. We could talk about, you know, kind of the stuff with Malachi Black, how some of that didn't quite hit. But I think Cody Rhodes is really smart. And this character that he's doing right now, like, he's got an end game for it. Like, he's not oblivious to the reactions like you know, you alluded to, Andrew. Like, I think Cody Rhodes is making filet mignon in a world that wants steakum.
Right.
And so it takes a little bit more time to cook this filet mignon than, you know, that steakum. And so I think once we get the full story, we're going to look back and be like, yo, that was a really good kind of journey Cody took us on. So in terms of the party, what I'm going to do, because, you know, like, I'm going to put on the invitations, the party start at 8. But, you know, most people ain't going to get there till around 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30. I'm going to tell Cody to come by at like 7. We got the food already ready. Come on, get you a plate, have a couple drinks, but you got to be out the door by 7:55. So you can come to the party, but it's gonna be like a separate, it's gonna be like a private party. It's gonna be like a Mark Quinn party, you know, like separate from the rest of the crowd. Rich, like, Cody can come by, but he got to know when to leave. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, keep it safe. I mean, just let him know. Like, I would say give him like a half hour or 40 minutes before when you want to start instead of like 2 hours, because by the time people get there, he'll be just ready to leave, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Cody, man, this party, it was a little. I appreciate you staying as long as you could, bro. It looks like everybody else is kind of like, you know, not honoring the time. He's like, hey, man, I did what I could. I know you got to go somewhere else. I know you got somewhere else to be. I just appreciate you spending time with me."
Just look at Cody Rhodes and his contemporaries of second generation guys that started the same time as him. You got Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase Jr., Sim Snuka, Michael McGillicuddy,
talk to him,
Richie Steamboat, all of those cats, and look who out of that whole group of second generation
last man standing.
Last man standing.
Chris got points.
You gotta give Cody Rhodes his props, man.
Yeah,
you're right.
He could have easily turned into one of those second generation dudes. You could add Harry Smith to that list, who just went back just to get the same treatment that he got the first time. Cody Rhodes could have easily turned into that.
Or he could have been a scumbag like Randy. That's the thing I never give him nearly enough credit for. Like, Randy had a full half decade of being a sociopath. That he just fed into his character. Oh, that's Randy being Randy. Silly boy. Hooping in bags.
And Randy's the generation before, but that could have been Cody Rhodes as well.
Yeah. So Cody gets some mixed reviews here, but I think they're a little bit better than he got at the cookout. So
the cookout.
Cody's improving.
Well, except for the sister with Sabres ain't here. We ain't got her to talk about. She gonna let him in, so all the aunties can be looking at him sideways and say, "Oh, Devontae, who family is? He's mixed on the other side, right?"
He mixed with something. All right. So next on the list, this is a gentleman that might be a little controversial, but I'm gonna go ahead. That's what we do at Christmas time. We gotta see what's going on with all of the family. So this next gentleman is somebody that Chris and I talked about a month ago with Phil Lindsay from Grapsity Podcast. Shout out to Grapsity, Reg, and Will and them. He is currently your Impact World Champion.
Oh boy,
Rich Fann.
Can Moose come to the Christmas party?
I'm going to give Moose a nice little Kwanzaa card, dap him up, and be like, hey, man, you know I can't bring you in there. Because I can't do it. Like, as much as Moose, great dude, but the second my mom's like, isn't that the boy who threw his girl down the stairs? Mama, like, he went talk to preacher, he's good now. Like I can't even get out that out. Like, oh,
he's saved now.
Yeah, he downstairs. Like, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know who invited him. I think my wife did. I'll Urban Meyer in a minute. I'll throw somebody else under the bus if he makes it in, because he's big enough that he might walk in a few steps. Yeah, like, listen, don't do this to me in my house, man. Don't do this in my house. Come on, Moose.
Man, with Moose.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I think with him, what you gotta do is, you got to tell the family, whoever on the inside, you got to be like, hey, look, I'm about to step outside for a minute. And then you just chill with him for like a good 30 minutes on the porch. And then until be like, hey, man, I'm about to go back inside. I don't know what you about to do, but I'm about to go back in the house. So I'm going to catch you. You got hit him with a smooth one. But I think Rich would have carried it well because Moo's a big dude. You know what I'm saying? He probably stepped through the door on you and then, you're on your own from there.
That's a good point. On Christmas, man. Don't be doing it. Well, my mama told me not to have you in the house, man.
That's a good point. Yeah. So I think I'm kind of with Rich on this. Like you gotta kind of know when Moose is gonna arrive, and you meet him outside, and you just hang with him outside for a little bit. Have some drinks already ready outside, cigar, something. I don't know if the brother smoke.
Plate ready to go. Already.
Plate ready to go. Like I know you busy, Moose. You're a champion and everything, dog. We just blessed that you was able to come through for a minute. I know you got to go. I think that's the way to handle it, Kris.
Yeah. So the thing with Moose is, full disclosure from me, I've got way worse people in my family that come to my cookouts than Moose. So it just is what it is. My family forgives everybody for everything because they, if you found Jesus, then hey, it is what it is. You're forgiven until you do it again, and then when you find Jesus again, you're forgiven again. That's the fam for you. But yeah, man. Now I do, like I said, I do interact with Moose on social media. Like I'm not best friends with them, but I'm cool enough with them. But with Moose, at least I understand the backlog of why people might be hesitant with him, because I don't understand it with Jay Lethal. It hasn't been explained to me from a legalese and a sociological standpoint that I could wrap my mind around. At least with Moose, domestic issues are serious things that, and the police were called and things happened. Charges weren't filed, so I'm going to also remember that. But with Moose, I understand why people would be like, hey, this guy might not be the great. And then he's also kind of shout out my boys, my boys, Reg and the fam always comes first in that respect. Even though
you never know. Like if you invite Moose, he might try to bring Tessa along, and that's a whole situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so, I think the thing with Moose is like is so much like extra additional baggage there that somewhat hasn't been addressed. Like I remember he did I know it wasn't too long ago he did an interview with Sports Illustrated, and I know he got asked. He didn't ask directly about the domestic violence situation, but it was like to the point to where he somewhat spoke on it. But I don't want to say he danced around it because I can't remember the exact quote. So I definitely don't want to mix up nothing, especially something serious as that. So but the way that he worded it, from what I remember, was it was just a thing of like he went the route of that's not me anymore type thing. And that's just the best way that I can put it without trying to put words in his mouth or like misconstruing something, especially with a situation that serious. And like to Chris's other point about Jay Lethal, I think it's just a situation of like it's those multiple allegations out there that haven't been addressed. Like what
are the this is what I need to know. What are the allegations? Because an allegation is this guy did something to me, police were called, something like that. Like when I hear that, because I didn't fuck Jay Lethal, I didn't get hired for a job, that's not an allegation. There's no legalese behind it. That's more an ethics thing than anything else. And it's also a he said, she said thing. So that I don't understand. What are the other allegations that I need to understand?
So from what I understand, it was a situation that occurred with Kelly Klein as well. And that's from what I understand, where there was a situation of like, I guess some words were exchanged or some physical things may have been exchanged that didn't go over too well or wasn't received very well from the opposite party. And I think that's been out there for a while. And there have also been
what's physical things.
But see, look, I think that's the thing with what I'm trying to convey right now to you, Kris. Is
we're not going to do this to you, Andrew.
No. I get what you're saying. Like you asking, I guess, not I guess, but you asking valid questions, but you trying to understand. But at the same time, it, like I said, it's allegations, and it's only certain things that we all know that's public, and it's a he say, she say thing. But at the same time, you can't just outright say that this person is right or this person is wrong. But to your point, I think we all looking at it as like the allegations or the things about you that's out there should be addressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, take the moment to address the situation at hand. Like even if it's not a situation of like, and like I said, the stuff is out there. Like, you can easily go on Twitter and search it, and you can, go on like find different articles and stuff out there from the speaking out movement and stuff like that. But like, I think it's just a thing of like where people will want some type of accountability, address the situation. Like, you got this big cloud over you, so speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Or you gonna let people speak for you. I think that's just, that's just my stance on it.
Well, so I don't necessarily agree with that fully, because I'm in that's the space that I work in. If you have a person and their job is to speak for you, that person is the one that needs to be doing that. If I'm Jay Lethal and I haven't been formally charged with anything, if what I've been charged with is a lot of hearsay stuff and nothing with any kind of palpable proof, palpable meaning something I can see, touch, or smell, I don't think I should be addressing things that don't exist yet. Those allegations might be out there, but it only makes sense to address them if it's trying to, if there's some legal ramifications attached to it. But that's how I think about these kind of things. So.
And like you said, you work in that space, so I think it's just a difference of two different perspectives of how we're looking at things. I think it's but hit me out though. I think I'm looking at it from more of a moral perspective. Like, if you got these things about you out there, you would think as a human being that you, at least one point, you would want to address these things. I think you're looking at it from more of a legal standpoint. Like, if there's not anything out there concrete, then why would you even feed into it? I think that's how you're looking at it from the legal standpoint, as if that's just how you're looking at it. And I think I'm more so looking at it from like just I
still don't understand what the guy did. I don't understand. Was it a rapey situation?
No, okay. If this helps, Kris, what has been alleged, and this is through Kelly Klein, through Taylor Hendricks and others, is in the case of Taylor Hendricks, the allegation was
we know that one. Yeah,
that one. Okay, Kelly Klein just came out and said, there had been numerous complaints by multiple women to Ring of Honor's office that were never handled by them. They said they would investigate, and then they never followed up. It became a twofer, and Wade and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where the company Ring of Honor, it would serve them no purpose to reveal what the investigations led to, because he stayed on TV. Unlike, say, Marty Scurll, there was obviously the inference that it was either unfounded, they decided not to go further, or whatever it is, that's how they decided it. But then also, and this is to Andrew's point, I even mentioned to Wade when after they came back from the Minnesota show, during that scrum, the argument was this wasn't the time or the place. It's like, there is just like any other difficult question as a journalist, you have to ask that question to get a person on the record to give an answer. And so when you say that, but then Jay Lethal doesn't get asked that question, and then that following Wednesday or Friday, whatever it was, where he had the TNT title match, he puts up on Twitter, when you do things the right way and you're proven to be in the right, good things happen to you. And it's like, well, that's a disingenuous statement, because you've never said anything about anything. And now you're making inferences the same way that you're saying these women are making inferences. If you want to fight in the court of public opinion, then you need to submit the information so the court can make that decision fairly. But to your point, like I said, working in higher ed, that's not something you're going to want to put in the public sphere. But it's for the owner, like, especially considering when you think of speaking out, and I don't mean to, somebody catch a stray, but it is what it is. Darby Allin was accused of stuff. And
exactly.
That's true. Very true.
And I had that conversation with you, Rich. The wrestling industry, from an outsider looking in, is a trash industry when it comes to these kind of things. You know, it just is what it is. So it's like for the Jay Lethal stuff, we will have to talk about Darby Allin. We'd have to talk about my favorites. We have to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, we have to talk about
that's very
all
true.
These
very true.
Ric Flair, all these different kinds of things that have happened. Randy Orton, you know.
Yeah, we talked about the pooping in the bag, but we didn't talk about putting his hand on his crotch and then saying, "You won't shake my hand." And then only stopping to Justin Roberts when Stephanie walks in.
Yeah, and I'm not prepared to let Jay Lethal be the fall guy for this amount of trash in the industry. I think if they're gonna fall, they need to fall together, or we have to accept that we like a trash industry. If we're gonna be cheering for Darby Allin and talking about Darby Allin like, you know, he's the next great thing and stuff like that, and with accusations out there, and to be fair to Darby Allin, he hasn't been formally charged with anything. So to protect what we do, we're not saying these cats have been charged with anything.
Right.
But I think that wrestling fans, I think we have the worst habit of picking and choosing what we're gonna be getting outraged to when there's a lot to be outraged at, if that makes sense. And what do we as a society do with things like this?
Yeah, and I think that this is a question that people have been wrestling with, particularly, and I don't want to be remiss in this, Rich, because we're four dudes talking about this subject.
Right.
And I think that there have been a lot of women who have been talking about this, not just last year with Speaking Out, but for years and years.
Yeah.
And I think that Kris brings up a lot of valid points, man, in terms of fans can be so fickle in what sense they will turn a blind eye to, right? Like, I like that dude, so whatever he's been accused of or alleged to be accused of, I'm going to turn a blind eye to it. I don't like that guy, so if he's got some dirt around him, I'm going to point that out. And it shouldn't be based on that. You know, it should be based on the truth. And so, I feel like I don't know how you fix it, Rich. I don't know how you because even with Speaking Out, right? Speaking Out was hot for a minute, right? It had a season, and it felt like there were things changing. But now looking at it a year later, yeah, there were some changes, but for the most part, the business kept rolling. And so, what do we do to actually fix it in a fair way, right, for both the accused and the accuser?
I think putting it out there, like I said with the AEW example with Jay, it's not, for me, it's not hiring him. It's not announcing you haven't hired him, because remember, Tony was very loud about he would never hire Randy Orton when Randy made the comments about, hey, thanks for getting me my last raise, when they were having that conversation on Twitter. Same thing with Hogan and his wife when that was popping up and saying they're banned forever from AEW.
Yeah.
So I think if you put it on record, here's our standard for evaluating potential candidates for hire, and that's it. And then just leave it. You don't need to have any other statements. I think that allows you that leeway, because then people see, here's your standard. Do you meet the standard or not? And then keep it moving. When you have the obfuscation like WWE did with Velveteen, where they're just like, we investigated, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what about the text? We said don't worry about it. What about this person's video? No, I'm not answering any more questions about that. That reduces it to, we're just going to do whatever we want until such time as legally we have to get rid of this guy.
Right.
And so when you, with this, I think it's a fair question to talk about that. Just like I really appreciated that they didn't fire, I can't remember which gun it was, for the tweets, because you do have, Austin, thank you very much, Andrew.
Yeah.
You do have to have an opportunity, because I'm also not going to be the person that says he's a kid at age like 20. When you do the math, he was like 20, 21. It's not like he was 14.
Right.
And so I think that you got to have that capacity for growth and grace, but also when it comes to issues of this nature, when it comes to second parties, violence against women, you have, if you're the progressive wrestling company, you cannot do what WWE would do and just put your head in the sand in terms of questions about the authenticity of your vetting process for a wrestler in this regard.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rich. And I think, you know, that was a detour of sorts, but I think it was
that's every holiday party, though. Everybody got something. The eggnog gets going.
Every holiday
mama
party.
Ain't give me that house. Mama ain't give me the house because she couldn't trust you, and I got to be out here. See, it gets wild.
Every holiday party. That's how it goes.
I feel like that was a conversation that it featured different perspectives, and I think Kris also added some points from another perspective. Like I saw him mention that once before about about there being other situations that have come up with other people that constantly get praised, and it's outline stuff against them and like get brushed to the side, and at the same time, like I just listening to Rich's point make a hell of a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? So I think the only thing that we can do is to continue having these conversations. Yeah. Also, like I think that's just the most simple thing to do that we can do, looking at it from a I guess analyst type perspective or podcasting type perspective. Like just keep having these conversations, man. And then I think as far as the wrestling business goes, like what Rich said, I think he had a hell of a point. Like it's just a matter of fact that a company, sort of maybe putting their vetting process out there about how they go about certain things and go about it from there.
And I think that also we do, because if Jay Lethal is going to be working, if he's not going to be going to jail, if he's going to be a member, Darby Allin, all these guys, if they're going to be members of civil society, productive members of civil society, we do have to judge them from this point moving forward as well, and see what they do with their platform and see what kind of good that they do with their platform. They're under a microscope now. So if any more of these kind of things come out, you definitely have to act a lot more swift. You can't just sweep it under the rug. But if you prove yourself to be a better person, because look, I don't know what these guys did or didn't do, but if you can show me that you can be better than that person that has his name attached to that kind of chicanery, I can at least work with that. I don't think you have to be that person that you were, because whether you did or didn't do anything, your name being attached to that is never going to be a good thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. So look at Kris in the holiday spirit. He's all about growth and forgiveness, and that leads me to the very final guest that's coming to the party. Maybe. Since Kris mentioned forgiveness, is it time, Rich Fann, that Terry gets an invite to the Christmas party?
Nate, don't
listen. Don't be in my state. Like, forget about don't come down my street. Don't be in my neighborhood. Don't be in my state, Terry. Like, in fact, I'm flying my parents up from Tampa legitimately to Pittsburgh so that way we can celebrate the holidays and not have any opportunity to run into that fool.
Terry pull up. We stomping him out as soon as he get out of the car.
Yeah, it's Terry. He gets a nice little Christmas card with like Ralph Wiggum on the front, like putting up a little star on the tree, and he opens it up at an Andrew Point. It says it's on site.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Kris, hey. you out here talking about redemption and forgiveness. Are you ready to forgive Terry Bollea out on these streets?
Well, no, because the thing with Terry is he's just never shown that he's like Terry. See, the difference between Terry and everybody else that we talked about is there's ocular and auditory proof of what Terry Bollea has done.
Ocular and auditory.
You know what I'm saying?
He hits out with them professor words.
I'm just saying, you know what Terry's done. There's no question about what Terry did. There's nothing to discuss. with Jay Lethal, you can have a discussion one way or the other. Yeah, I know Jay Lethal, he did that shit. No, yeah, I know late Jay Lethal, he would never do that shit. That's a discussion you can have.
Right.
Terry, we all heard the motherfucker.
Oh yeah, he done. He done.
This is what it is. So no,
Man.
Yeah.
Wait, you want to know? I love how we've all like just as one people just come together and just decide to call this man Terry. Like he's no longer.
You
Hulk
lost
Hogan.
the Hulk.
And I always I got this video when me, Nate, and Kris recorded the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be November 29th. That's so fucking long ago. But I remember he was talking about how he was racist in the refractory.
Yeah, like that's how deep Terry Bollea's racism went, Rich Fann. He was in the refractory period. What should have been the happiest time of his life after he smashed his friend's wife on camera, and he just out here being as racist as he wanted to be.
Oh my goodness, bro.
I mean, that was up there with the. There were two things he cared about, if I remember correctly from that when they were playing it. He felt bloated because of too much pasta, and racism. Like,
Yes.
like how what do we? You got body dysmorphic disorder and schism. Like Terry, like you just need maybe go out the complex carbs and seek growth. That's my prescription for him. But yeah, and I love that. I mean, I have my Nice Try Terry shirt Cam put out a couple of years ago, and it's just it's really funny to see how hard he's worked to not seek any sort of growth.
Man, hey, Rich, Rich, to hit on your point, the way that I'm pretty sure all of us saw it, man. The way that they tried to block out the amount of boos he was getting at WrestleMania was hilarious. Like they was booing this man out of that stadium.
Yo, the fact
and Titus O'Neil was catching strays, man.
Yo, the fact Titus O'Neil did that, he should have a job for life with that company.
I know, for real.
I'm telling you.
So true.
I'm telling you, he bit the bullet on that one.
Yeah,
he bit the bullet, and he went through with it. Like, I remember I was listening to this one conversation Bianca Belair was having, and the interviewer was like, sort of asking her about some of the legends that were appearing on the show or something like that, and he brought up Hulk Hogan a couple times, Terry Bollea, and she like completely ignored this dude every single time. Like, and he was trying so hard to like you know. Hulk Hogan, and she was like just dismissing him and mentioning every other it was hilarious, bro. Like she knew what she was doing, but
Terry don't even go here.
Terry definitely don't go. Terry mad for life, man. Yeah. But I wanted to ask y'all real quick. So on some positive news, we just had a great conversation. I appreciate y'all all the different perspectives being open. Like I think that's a great thing. With it can be different opinions. Everything ain't gotta be the same, and then we can all like sort of think of some type of common solution that we can like try to present from our perspective as far as we can. So yeah, I just want to say I appreciate y'all, having that open discourse, Kris, Nate, and Rich. But like, on a positive note, I want to ask y'all, did y'all get to see that brother Darius Lockhart's NWA debut promo when he was at the snap? Oh my goodness, man! I was like, there it is. There it is. Superstar status. There it is.
I mean, like, NWA trying to steal the Nubian wrestling alive. I'm just saying. Maybe.
Look here, man. Like I know we starting to do ads now here at Post Wrestling. So Billy Corgan want to advertise on the NWA podcast. I'm not gonna say no.
But man, that
Billy
that
Money
promo,
spin too.
that promo that Lockhart cut, like I think that stood out to a lot of people. Like it was, I don't know, man. It was just authentic. It was cool as hell. Like it didn't feel forced. Like he went on the staff. I think especially with the NWA, they just took, hey, bruh, you got a mic, you got X amount of minutes. I don't know what you're gonna say, but say it. You know what I'm saying? And he went out there and he said it. So I think that was a very, 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 very great appearance for somebody to just be popping up on the NWA. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do going forward.
Yeah, and I think what that speaks to, Andrew, is something we've seen all year. And I do want to give a tip of the cap to, our guy Righteous Reg, not only for doing a theme song, but for producing the BW 500. And I think what a lot of the performers on that list have in common is when they are given the chance to be authentically themselves, authentically black, authentically whatever it is that makes them them, it connects with an audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you talk about Darius. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, somebody like Lee Moriarty, or, you know, somebody like a Gresham, you know, Shane Taylor Promotions, you know, somebody like a Leo. Like, when you allow these performers to be themselves, you know, what's the old cliche, Rich? You know, being a wrestler is just being yourself turned up to 10. Mm-hmm. When we allow these performers to turn themselves up to 10 and give them that space, they can go out there and make magic. And so the issue that we've been talking about on this show, and you know, people like Rich have been talking about at the Torch, and people like SP3 have been talking about at Tru Heel Heat, you know, the Grapsity, you know, Public Enemies, whoever you want to listen to. One of the things we've all been talking about in our own ways is, why aren't these folks being allowed to be themselves? Because that is not only what's going to make them the best performer, but if you're the company, that's what's going to make you the most money, because people are going to relate to that character. And so that, like, if I had one wish for 2022, Andrew, it would be that more companies would allow these performers the freedom to be themselves and not be some 75-year-old man's version of what a 20-year-old, 25-year-old black dude would be.
Yeah. No, that's spot on the mark, man. But with Vince, I specifically speaking about WWE, that's going to be a situation where until he's out of that position that he's in, I highly doubt that it's ever going to change. Like, I mean, he had honestly one of the greatest assembled rosters like ever. Like, legit, you say 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, he had one of the greatest talent rosters, including NXT. Like, that roster was amazing. 2019, 2018, that was one of the best rosters I've ever seen. Like, the talent he had is ridiculous. Some of the talent he still has under his under contract, ridiculous. You look at Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, who I think everybody has been advocating for quite some time, including Ricochet. I think with Ricochet just getting to the point where people just getting tired of it, because it's like it's so obvious the talent that's there, and it's like they just don't want to recognize it. But yeah, with WWE, man, like it's so many wrestlers, so many people, so many black talents in there that can thrive. So and I mean, even outside, not even just primarily focus on WWE, man. You got so many people out there on the independent scene that's just looking for a shot. You know what I'm saying? All they need is just one shot. All they need to get in front of somebody's camera, or need for the right person to see them. And I think social media is also like one of the biggest mediums out there. Like, it is the biggest medium out there. So when you see it was this guy, this independent wrestler named Trevor Ion. I don't know if y'all had a chance to see him, but he does like he did like that vampire like type thing. And the reason I liked it was because I don't really see nobody like trying to do that stuff, and it's so out there for an independent wrestler that doesn't have a consistent TV platform to try to like do that. Like, and you know, normally on independent shows, it's not storyline stuff. It's just like, how can we get the best match to get the best crowd? And like, for him to stick to that and consistently push that this vampire-esque gimmick, and like keep going forward and keep putting out these different promo materials and stuff, and buying the stuff with the backdrops and stuff, bro. That shit is so cool to me, bro. Because like he's trying something. He's trying to stick out from the crowd. I'm pretty sure he can go out there and just be professional wrestler A who does great moves and who can get booked on any show. But like, the fact that he's trying something so different and like it's so fucking out there, like, that shit is cool, bro. Like, and I hope that a guy like him, but not even just in wrestling, like even just in general, you only need one person in this world to see. It just take one person with the right person to see you, and then I'm telling you, take off from that. So yeah, guys like him, dudes like O'Shea Edwards, who about to be a free agent, Trisha Dora, man, you got. I was about to say Lee Moriarty, but he fucking took off this year. So he all set. Tony Khan put him in that spot. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna ask you in front of all these people, so you can't say no." but yeah, man, it's so like Willow Nightingale just had the match with Roxy last night at ROH Final Battle. Man, we could sit here and list so many people, like the dude Waves and Curls, who we just had the match on AEW Dark. People tried to make light of them and try to, you know, do their little corny little shit. But those dudes are genuinely funny. They got charisma, and that'll take you a long way. Like,
who's my girl that was at the NWA 73rd show, not the women's show? Tootie
Lynn from St. Louis. Tootie Lynn. Tootie Lynn is very cool, bro. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Like, there's so much talent.
It's so many people, and I can only imagine like the people that's out there that like haven't been like sort of been given that play. Like we don't even know that they're out there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they just getting started. So it's cool to see, man. Like you got to do Don't Die Miles. I don't know if y'all heard. Like he challenged. I think he does some like hardcore / deathmatch stuff. Real cool. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so many black talents out there, man. I'm telling you, like it's just a matter of like you just need to get the right eyes in front of them, bro. That's how it is. All he needs one shot, bro.
Alex down in MLW.
Alex Kane killing it.
Yeah,
he got the rocket strap now. He got
that's a good brother right there.
That's Cole Bauer, man, right there. That's his man. And Cole Bauer is old. Like I can only imagine what it's like for him right now in this climate, man, to have the company CEO openly saying that's my dude right there. You know what I'm saying? But like you got to fucking like boost the confidence that is on top of pressure. But like still,
see what can happen when corporate actually gets behind the talent and wants the talent to grow. That's a crazy concept, Andrew.
I'm about to say we ain't even mentioned like the dudes like Myron Reed who been going hard, and you know what I'm saying? I'm telling like it's so many people, man. It's so many people. I'm pretty sure 2022 is going to be another banner year. Another banner.
Reg already got his work cut out for him for this next 500.
He definitely do, man. Shout out to Reg, but I'm looking forward to seeing like what shows they gonna do in Dallas next year. Like I'm very interested. I know that's gonna be a big weekend. I know GCW doing their whole like World Fair thing. It's gonna be like podcast platforms, and I know there's probably gonna be a lot of different podcasts, you know, down there. I think that's gonna be something that's gonna be real cool to see, like different events and games and shit. Like, you know, like this cool stuff that's happening in wrestling, man. Like overall, all across the board. But you know, and again, I just wanted to, you know, bring up that conversation that we had. I think that was a real like good conversation that had a lot of different perspectives and points brought up, and it just added to the overall conversation that's going to continue to keep having. And I'm pretty sure we all gonna keep talking about it, you know, going forward.
And you mentioned, Andrew, like Vince McMahon, like a couple years ago, he put together like one of the greatest rosters ever assembled. And I feel like this month on the NWA podcast, you know, I feel like Vince McMahon a little bit today because I'd have put together this roster of all these excellent black journalists and content creators and podcasters and media members, and we didn't talk to and gave the people something good this holiday season. So before we get out of here this month, I just want to go around the horn one last time and, you know, give everybody a chance to let everybody know what they're doing and where they can find them, because I think that's been one of the cooler things about this past year. And really, you know, since the pandemic started, Rich, you've seen a lot more community and, you know, particularly in our space, like a lot of black-led projects working together, and that's cool because it shouldn't be a competition thing. It should be we all trying to help each other, man, because we all want the same thing, or we all should want the same thing, because I can't speak for every black media member out there. There are some who will not be named, but Rich Fann, I'm gonna name you because you out here doing good work with the Torch. Let people know where they can find you, brother, and you know, some of the stuff that you got coming up for the end of the year.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on Twitter at Rich_Fan. Everything I do with the Torch is at PWTorch.com. If you want to go VIP, appreciate it. If not, on the free side of things, you can always listen to me on the Deep Dive every Saturday. One of the new things we're going to be introducing starting in 2022 with the podcast I'm doing over at the Torch and kind of life, trying to do dad stuff. I'm going to be doing 3 of the 4 weeks in a month, and then one week out of the month, my buddy Will Cooling over in the UK is going to do the deep dive and be the Leno to my Letterman, if you will. And hopefully, I say that doesn't work out well for in the long run. Like Leno, kind of like he like had him to go out back a little bit, just go see Jesus. But hopefully, that's not the case here. But if you see me on the VIP side, I do everything with Rich and Wade, where me and editor-publisher Wade Keller talk about the events of the day. It's always a pleasure to be on here, and I love, like you said, this opportunity at NWA for all of us to get together and talk, and there isn't this feeling of, I got to get my crap in, you got to get your crap in, or, you know, like there's he's got more followers than me, or he's got more views than me, and I know you said you wanted to be positive about it, but I will not name names, but I'm glad that the folks I've met through you guys, I've never ever felt like if I walked in a room the second I left, they're going to be saying sideways stuff like some people could.
Yeah.
And so it's appreciated. The love is there, and I look forward to any time you have me on.
No doubt. And it wouldn't surprise me if we heard Rich on some other programs here, because I know there's some MCU stuff popping. So, Rich wears many shirts around here. So you never know when Rich Fann will pop up on Post Wrestling. But we always glad to have you, brother. We definitely appreciate any time you can make time for us. But I'm gonna go back to that Leno Letterman analogy you threw out there, because I'm gonna say, during that situation with Jay Leno and David Letterman, I was always a fan of the young cat, Conan O'Brien, that was coming out here being all smart and whatnot. And so we got a young brother out here being all smart and whatnot. Andrew Thompson, one of the hardest working brothers in the game, man. Andrew Thompson, what you got going on, man? Plug the YouTube channel and whatever you got going on for Post, nephew.
Yeah, man. They can check out all my written work on the Post Wrestling site. I'm always putting up news articles and stuff like that. It's always a good time doing that. Thoroughly enjoy that stuff. And they can check out my YouTube channel, Andrew Thompson Interviews. I had just did my first sort of non-wrestling interview with a guy who owns like a wrestling. It is wrestling related, but not more so not a wrestler. But it was a guy named Griff Briggs who owns this wrestling supercar game, and they've been doing it for like 7 years, and it finally took off or something. Like, and it was just real cool to sort of do something outside of interviewing a wrestler, I should say. It was just cool to sort of do something a little different. And everybody can go check that out on my YouTube. We pushing up on 800 subscribers. We almost there. We almost home. Okay. We almost home, man. But yeah, man.
About to get that monetization.
but other than that, man, they can follow me on Twitter, 80 Thompson __. I'm trying to do a better job at tweeting. I just post my work on there and I go. So I'm gonna try to do that. But that's why we got platforms like this, man. That's why we got the NWA podcast. So we come over here, talk our shit, and there you go. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. It's all love. I appreciate Rich. I've just gotten to know you, I would say, over this past year. Honestly, it's been great seeing you do stuff, man. I know you've been a staple in this community for a while now. So I'm glad to see you like getting your flowers and stuff like that. Nate and Chris, and I know y'all the past 2 years. Y'all two of the most funniest people I've ever met in my life. Y'all work hard too, man. I know y'all got outside stuff going outside of professional wrestling that you got going on as well. So I think it just shows a lot of the fact that y'all dedicate a lot of time into this and into your Patreon and stuff, while on top of having outside real life duties going on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, much respect to all of y'all. It's been a great year. It's been a trying year, but guess what? Like we always do, we still here. Black people, we always make it through. Always. It never fails.
We're going to find a way, Andrew.
Never fails.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We appreciate that, nephew. Like Andrew is doing good work, man. Like Chris. Like, I think we both said this. We might have even said this to Andrew. Like ain't no way I could be doing like just the amount of shows Andrew covers. Yeah. Like, dude is a machine, and I'm glad he's starting to get recognized for that, man, because the brother's been working hard and like that hard work, it pays off, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And whatever any of my wrestling journalist friends get paid to watch NXT 2.0, it's not enough. You need raises, and you need raises on top of those raises.
See, Chris, look, all due respect to the professor, but Chris, I know you about to go to some WrestleManias out here,
Yeah.
So like if you see Braun Breaker on these streets, I ain't gonna be able to help you, fam.
Hey, Chris, real quick.
I believe in the Second Amendment. So you try some shit with me, man. Don't try no shit with me, man.
Why are you throwing the blicky at Braun?
We got Arn Anderson over here. Arn Anderson is on the New Year Wrestling Advocate.
I am from the Arn Anderson school of that. Yeah, so don't be trying no funny stuff, wrestling people. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, that just reminded me of that. I'm pretty sure y'all seen that video of that security dude who's always acting like he know how to get people out of situations with guns and stuff. My goodness, bro. He gonna get somebody hurt. But Chris, Nate, I know you about to wrap it up. Chris, I wanted to ask you on NXT 2.0 because I know you brought it up. If you were Triple H, do you even see a point of coming back?
I mean, yeah, because you're in the family and this is what you married into. I don't know what your discernible skills outside of wrestling are.
No, Chris, I meant more so managing NXT 2.0 because Shawn Michaels is like hitting that right now. Do you think it's a point of him even like trying to come back and like sort of continue on with what NXT 2.0 is, or like you think he probably more than likely would or would you like just step away from it completely and just focus on your sort of WWE corporate duties opposed to NXT?
I mean, just get paid, man. I don't know what else to say about that, dude. Just get your money, man. But I do want to say, I'm gonna need a second because I do respect all the journalistic work that we do. I did go to school for journalism. I'm in the journalism space. I don't consider myself a journalist, but I do recognize that I'm in the journalist space.
Right.
So we all have to kind of be honest from our perspective. So one thing I do respect about Andrew is that when he had the chance to interview Jay Lethal and they were trying to kind of hamper the questions that he should or shouldn't ask, and he decided to pass on the interview. The other alternative that you could have did, Andrew, is just ambush him with those questions anyway. And there are a lot of people in this space that would have done that. So you did a respectful thing. You were like, why don't we just not do this? I was telling Nate, when we did Kings of Sport, I had the chance to interview Buff Bagwell right after he got that DUI. And shout out to Mike Knox, host of the BDSIR network. I still kind of work with them, so I don't want to say former, but Mike Knox, great brother. I told him when we did that interview, I was like, okay, he just got the DUI and he hasn't canceled the interview. We've got to ask about this DUI. We can't get away with not doing it. And to Buff Bagwell's credit, he answered questions about it, man. We were the ones to break his first interview after he got into that situation. So I understand from a journalist standpoint what you do. And how you have to operate in that space. And I also understand from the legalese standpoint, I don't just go out there freely giving apologies and shit like that. Right. I never agree with that because I'm also, even though I'm in this wrestling journalist space, I'm also a black man, and I'm never going to not be able to wear that hat when I talk about these kinds of things. So if you don't like me bringing up race all the time, then I don't know what to tell you because I'm going to bring it up all the time. The name of this show is Nubian Wrestling Advocates, not the not talk about race wrestling ever advocates. So
that's a terrible podcast name, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it doesn't ring off the tongue. So, but I appreciate that. And then I also want to give a shout out to Rich, because I've been listening to Rich on the Torch for some years now, and doing that episode of the deep dive was a lot of fun. And again, I respect and I want to thank the both of you for making me understand the Jay Lethal thing better, because the way it was being explained to me was just so silly and stupid that it just didn't make any sense. But then, Rich, when you told me about this guy tweeting that thing, this like, okay, that's silly. I would never do something like that. Mm-hmm. And I would never advise anybody to do anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, at least I have some context to understand things by, because I'm always going to need context. I'm not like, I'm never going to be like, yo, apologize. I don't believe cancel culture exists. I think the people that get canceled we're never going to, that don't come back from it. We're always going to be the people who they were anyway. And yeah, man, so I appreciate congregating with you brothers and just being able to understand, and you guys being able to flesh out this whole thing for me so I can at least understand it better before I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, you know, that's just it for me.
That's love, Chris. It's all love, brother. That's what it's about, man. We understand each other. Look at they got the biggest smile on his face right now. They look like he just won the damn lottery.
I'm telling you, look, this is why, you know, part of the reason why, like, I love having Chris on the show is because, you know, we all are around the same, like, in terms of our ideology, in terms of the way we think about the world, we're all kind of on a similar path, but we come at it from different directions.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate what Chris brings to the show and thinking of things in a more analytical way versus like the emotion of things or, you know, thinking out of the moment. Like Chris takes a bigger view of a lot of these issues, and I appreciate what Chris brings to the table. What's that Twitter, Chris? Because don't think these people ain't gonna have stuff to say to you. What's that Twitter? For everybody that want to get at this man Chris over the holiday season.
Be nice, be gentle. I don't want any static with Braun Breaker or any wrestler. I feel bad for Braun Breaker. I want him to root. But your name is Braun Breaker, my dude. But yeah, you can follow me at KMEasyDoesIt. And we can go tit for tat on various issues. You know, as long as you come respectfully, I got no problem with it. And also, you know, I'm willing to interview and sit down with, and I'm sure Nate is also, any wrestler who wants to get anything off their chest as far as this stuff is concerned. You know, because my whole thing is I don't want to be making assumptions about what you did or didn't do. That's my thing. And, you know, and as journalists, all we can go by is your actions and your inactions. And those inactions sometimes speak louder than the actions. So, you know, you got folks in the space listening and waiting for you to do stuff, man. I think that we are a fair platform. I think Rich is a fair journalist. I think Andrew is a fair journalist. Free yourself, man. Talk to us. You know what I'm saying? And just let us know your perspective. We're not here to discredit you or anything like that. If anything, I want to understand how things work from a black wrestler's perspective. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be the one saying, oh, you shouldn't have been hired by. Look, man, I shouldn't have been hired for a lot of different jobs, man. I worked at Chick-Fil-A as my first job. I stole at least $25,000 worth of Chick-fil-A.
Damn.
I mean, I thought you were gonna say like $25. You had a couple of zeros. Like, how much chicken you take, bro?
If you adjust that shit for inflation, it's probably $25,000.
They got Chris picture on corporate walls right now.
Yeah.
Do not rehire.
Hey, Nate, that's what Chris he ain't hiding right now. They on his ass.
Right. His name ain't even really Chris. That's just that's his gimmick name, brother.
The Chick-fil-A thief. They on him.
Look. That's a damn shame. This is the way the empire crumbles, Rich. Like this man that threw away his whole professorial career over some chicken.
Hey, Nate, what a way to end a podcast. Oh man, Chris just admitted he stole $25,000
coming for you. Chick-fil-A don't play. Like, So it was,
oh my goodness.
It was good knowing Chris. Hey man, I appreciated you being on this show. We may or may not be back with Chris in 2022. Chick-fil-A got lawyers on these streets.
Oh my goodness,
man.
Like $25,000 worth of Chick-fil-A.
That's something.
Chris still probably got Polynesian sauce at the crib.
Yeah, I probably do. I probably got like pages of that shit. Like all up my covers and stuff.
No, but if you want to hear more from me, Yeah, that's why Kris is on this show, ladies and gentlemen. You can't predict what this brother gonna say. But you won't hear more from me. You can check me out on Twitter at N.W.A, MOZAIK, at Nate Mosaic. You can check out, of course, the NWA podcast here on Post, as well as the archives of the Rocky Maivia Picture Show, which may or may not have something in the works. Y'all gotta keep your ears open for that one, just in case. I also am on the Kings of Sport, which was myself and Marcus Vanderberg. Now it's just kind of me and Kris. If Kris hops in, or SP3, like it's just me and people. We got a Patreon, patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. $5 gets you in the door this holiday season. And I'm just going to throw this out there because we talked about it behind the scenes, but coming in the next year, you might hear more contributions on the Patreon from Kris and Andrew, amongst some other people. Okay. So we're going to see
little tease right there.
Little something just to let y'all know what might be coming down the pike. So there's that. There's the Naomi podcast, not the wrestler, but the DC Comics character over on DC TV podcast. Is me and Kris's LA homegirl, Brittany Monet. We got that show that just started up. There's a lot going on. I got the main event over at Place to Be Nation. There's a bunch of stuff, but just go to N8 MOZAIK Nate Mosaic on Twitter to get all the links to all them shows. And that's gonna do it. Not only for this episode, but for this year. 2021 is about to be in the books. But before we go, I just wanted to again thank everybody that was here on this episode. Kris, Andrew, Rich Fann, SP3. I want to thank y'all for listening. We'll be back in January of 2022 with an all-new episode of the NWA podcast. And fellas, this is a special occasion. This is our Christmas episode. So I wanted to end it with a poem, if you don't mind, Rich Fann. A poem that really encapsulates the spirit of the season. And it goes a little something like this, Andrew. And I heard him exclaim as he flew into the night, "Merry Christmas to all." And Terry, it's on sight. For Rich Fann, for Andrew Thompson, for SP3, for the Professor Kris Ealy, I'm the Godfather, Nate Milton. Thank y'all for listening to the NWA podcast. Y'all have a happy and safe holiday season. Have a happy new year. We'll catch y'all in 2022. Go get vaccinated if you ain't got vaccinated yet, because it's not a game. And remember, the revolution may not be televised, but it damn sure will be podcast. See y'all next year.
You're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.